Finding high-quality mental health care can be daunting and exhausting. That's why Cerebral offers convenient access to online mental health services, including therapy and medication management. Cerebral's diverse clinician team can help with anxiety, depression, insomnia, stress, grief, big life changes, and more. You can schedule and communicate with your care team through Cerebral's mobile app and attend your sessions from the comfort of your own home. Get started with or without insurance. Plus, you can now use FSA or HSA. Start your first month for 50% off at Cerebral.com/ACAST.
Hi, Dave here. Before we get to this week's episode, I want to do a quick shout out to some of our amazing patrons over at our Patreon page on the Cinemile High Club. So big thank you to Caitlin Rainey, Eldanio, I think I'm saying that right, Eldanio, I hope so, Steve Latif, Lindsay Malcolm, Lisa French, Taylor Collard, Damien Sweeney, Sarah Heffernan, Jordan Brown, who I think very recently got married, so congratulations, Jordan. Assuming you're the same Jordan we talked to on Twitter. Mark Pryor, Jess Lee Carey, David Bird, and Nancy N. Boucher. So that we've still got loads more shout-outs to do, and we will get to you all. If you want to support us and get loads of extra TV episodes and retro movies, head to our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Cinemile. One last thing before we get to this week's episode on High Life. There is some spoilers for the end of the movie Interstellar, the Christopher Nolan movie Interstellar from 2000 and whenever. So if you haven't seen that movie, we do give a heads up when we're about to spoil it. Just be prepared. Okay, on with the episode.
Hi, it's Dave here, and I'm with my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
And you're listening to The Cinemile, the podcast where we walk home from the movies. Today, we're not walking anywhere because we're in Picture House Central in London, which is very far from our home and too far of a walk. And also, we came here to meet these two gentlemen, Rick and Michael, from the Science-ish podcast.
Hello. Thanks for having us along.
Welcome.
This is fun.
Welcome to. It's like I own this place.
Thanks.
Welcome to our.
I can't believe you own a cinema, Dave.
I mean, you know, you're really getting that sweet dollar in, aren't you?
Oh yeah, we got that sweet podcast money going around big time. Guys, Science-ish podcast. We're big fans. Do you want to tell our listeners what it is? Quick synopsis.
Okay. Do you want to do it?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'm better at it, aren't I? So we basically use... well, you can have a go after me, then we'll judge if you want. So we take a bit of fiction or popular culture, so a film or a book. Technically could be a play, but it's never been a play because we don't really
Never
like
a
plays.
play. That's kind of our catchphrase, actually.
Yeah, it's never a play. I just don't like plays. I just find it really uncomfortable.
Yeah, and then we get theatre directors like coming to us and saying, "Oh, but this play's really good."
Yeah, we're like, don't care.
There's not a lot of science in plays.
No.
Well, this is our point. Yeah. But anyway, we use the sort of popular culture or a bit of fiction as a way into talking about a big science question. So if we watch The Matrix, say, then we'll go away and discuss whether we could be living in a simulation, or if we watch Alien, we'll go away and say, what would aliens look like if they exist and where are they?
Jurassic Park, we're like, should we bring back the dinosaurs? Can we bring back the dinosaurs?
Spoiler, no, we can't. Although we're making some steps at the moment, actually.
Yeah,
we've got chickens with teeth.
Look out for the woolly mammoth.
You guys personally have made some steps.
Yes, yeah.
You've been out hunting amber.
We have a lab at home, and you know,
we take it very seriously and also very unethically.
Great stuff. Well, we're big fans. What I really like about your show is that you sort of backdoor like really interesting and weighty science topics with the sort of pop culture hook.
Yes.
Which
don't put people off, though. I mean, you know, it's
very accessible
it's accessible.
and entertaining.
It's really accessible because I don't know anything about science and I can listen to it. But we only very recently found out that Michael works in quantum physics, so we should have had him on for our Ant-Man review.
Yeah.
Avengers. Well, yeah.
Avengers and Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And anything in the quantum realm, that's my business.
Yeah, that's literally
honestly,
your realm.
He won't stop banging on about quantum.
So
I'm sick of it.
could you shrink one of us down?
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the lab.
Yeah.
Let's wait till after
Come
the
down to
movie.
the lab. I mean, it's a bit like Get Out in that way.
Then we wouldn't even have to pay for cinema tickets.
I call it the
Sneak in. Yeah.
Sneak in, yeah. But we own the cinema. Have you forgotten?
Sure.
So, guys, today we asked you to come and see this movie called High Life.
Yeah.
Because this is the reasoning we got to this. We googled sci-fi movies summer 2019.
You mean
and
your
this
research
is all
team
that
did?
came up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The guys back in our lab.
Yeah.
And High Life came up. We started watching the trailer, and then I realized that I don't like watching trailers for movies, science fiction movies in particular, because they tend to just tell you everything about the whole thing. So we stopped, and I don't know anything about this movie except Robert Pattinson's in space.
Okay.
I think there's something to do with like loads of people having sex in space.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
sexy
I think
Robert Pattinson.
That's all I
in
know
space.
about. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So how much do you guys know? Have you done?
I know very little.
you done
I
your
know
research?
that there is a bit of sexy business, but I think it's quite grim. Sexy
okay.
business.
Grim sex.
Yeah, I think it's grim. I think it's grim
Oh,
sex.
that's my type of
I think
thing.
there's a thing. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
if we can say this. I think there's a thing called the fuck room.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And there's a black hole, so you'll love it.
See, I stopped.
Is that
I
a
stopped.
euphemism?
Yeah. Well, we'll find out, won't we?
I stopped researching when I found out they went into a black hole. I was like, sweet, I'm in.
Is that
Came from the
quantum
black
realm?
hole, stay for the fuck room.
It is the quantum realm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god, amazing! So we picked
Yeah.
the right movie in that
Oh,
Google
you have.
search.
We stumbled into the
And it was
perfect
months ago
quantum
we locked you
hotspot.
guys in for this.
I mean,
We-
you're going to lose a lot of listeners once I start going on about the quantum realm and the black holes and the. And
Oh no,
everything
Michael!
else, but-
Quantum physics is hot right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
good,
Tony
good.
Stark was talking about it.
Oh,
People
that's
are-
true.
People
That's
are
true.
obsessed.
All right.
Keep it pithy, though. Please.
No, I think a lot of our listeners, I'm guessing, probably listen to you guys already. But if they don't, I think they'd be really into it. And then
One way to find out, I suppose.
It's going to happen before this episode comes out. But you guys, I just wanted to bring up, you guys are doing a Game of Thrones like live show, aren't you?
Yes,
Talking
we
about
are.
science and Game of Thrones.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
Do
I think
are.
we should do
This week.
I wish that we'd known about it sooner and we'd like record it with you because we do Game of Thrones episodes because it would have been really interesting. Yeah, but on our Patreon, not in the cinema. Yeah, plug. But yeah, that's going to be fun. So you're talking
Yeah.
through science and Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so we're doing things like, can you build an ice wall?
That big.
That big. I mean, you can build an ice wall, a little one.
Yeah.
Can you do a big
Won't last for very long.
how do dragons breathe fire? Or could we create an animal that breathes fire?
Yeah,
Which
and then-
we're working on, obviously, in the lab.
Yeah, and then really the big one. How bad is incest really, though? Is it that bad, guys?
Spoiler.
Yeah.
not
Like
really.
genetically. It's a
Oh,
lot,
we
is it?
can tell you, since this is going out well after the
Yeah.
event. I mean, third and fourth cousins is kind of the sweet spot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sweet spot, the incest sweet
Yeah,
spot.
yeah,
That's what you want to be aiming for. But also, loads of people are much more related to their spouses and partners than they think they are anyway.
Yeah.
Oh well, we're
What
both
have you got?
Irish from the
Cousins?
same place in Cork.
Oh,
so
really?
it's
There we
like
go.
No,
we're done.
my
for.
family's from Dublin, so we're only saving
Oh,
grace.
All those miles away.
That was close.
Could still be third or fourth,
Yeah, that's fine.
That's why it's working so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that third, fourth cousin chemistry. You just
Okay, right.
can't. You
We're
just
gonna
can't
wind
buy.
up now.
Yeah.
We're gonna go and watch the sexy
All right, let's go watch
sci-fi
this.
movie.
Let's go watch
Yeah.
this sexy black hole movie.
Grim, sexy black
Yeah.
hole, maybe.
Okay.
That's what it says on the poster behind us. All right, see you in a bit.
We were scum. Trash. Refuse that didn't fit into the system. Until someone had the bright idea of recycling us to serve science.
The odds are not in our favor. But when my work is accomplished, when perfection is achieved,
Then what? Fly away?
I know I look like a witch.
You're foxy and you know it.
This mission can't turn our shame into some type of glory. I can't do this flying around no more.
You lied to us. You knew it.
The sensation, moving backwards. Even though we're moving forwards, getting further from what's getting nearer.
There is nothing to fear. Everything's gonna be fine.
Are you sick? You realize nothing is ever gonna go inside us?
Break the laws of nature. You'll pay for it.
All right, we're back. We have just, I'm going to say, experienced High Life. We're now in Rick's agent's office because we couldn't get a spot at the bar, and it's too crowded to walk down central London with 4 people.
So here we are.
It's a lovely office.
In a loft in the middle of Soho.
Yeah.
About to talk about what we just experienced. I'll very quickly try and give a synopsis for anyone who isn't going to watch this movie but wants to listen. Basically, it's a load of convicts are sent to space for various experimental reasons, and Robert Pattinson is one of them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's about the size. Yeah.
And then science.
All right, and then science.
Well, is it science?
Well, Michael, why don't we start with you then? Did you spot any science?
There was
in
a little bit of science.
Remember, no spoilers.
All right, no spoilers, but there's a couple of lovely images of black holes. There's people going into black holes doing a thing called the Penrose effect.
Okay, and what's that then?
Which was invented by a guy called Roger Penrose, who is this complete genius who's at Oxford. He's still alive. He's like in his 80s now. And he basically said, you could maybe harvest some of the energy of a black hole if you put in a spacecraft into a certain point of it and then split it in half. And half of it, there's part of it that goes away with extra energy that is sucked off from the black hole. So that's some science in there.
But is
recall?
Is it crucial that the people in this experiment be ex-convicts and a baby?
They ain't going to survive. So,
so ideal conditions.
So it's sort of like a exotic form of execution, if you like.
Well, it did kind of feel like that, this movie. Didn't it? It's just like a slow death, and that's kind of what it felt like to us, I think, as an audience. Kathy, what did you think of the movie?
I actually at one point was like, I can't believe we've made them come all the way to meet us to see this movie. But then I started there's various parts where I was really enjoying it because it was so weird. Like, it's one of the weirdest movies I've seen in years.
Very arty, isn't
it's
it?
really odd. And I don't really know what I can speak about without spoiling anything. But certainly I found like the setting very interesting, and I guess in spoiler street we'll get to like the sex room.
You just can't wait to talk about the sex room, can you?
I was just sitting there going, when's the sex room going?
To be fair, it did seem like pretty much every room was the sex room, really, in
some
ways.
It was very interesting. And I'm no expert on like fertilization or reproduction, but Michael, you'll know more than us, I think. Hopefully when we get to it, I have serious questions over what was going on with the sperm shaman. As she was described.
Spoiler, there's a sperm shaman.
And one more thing, Juliette Binoche.
Yeah.
Don't know why she was in this movie and what was going on with her wig.
Well, because she was in Chocolat, wasn't she? And she was probably thinking, it'll be nice like that.
Your first scene's in the sex room, Juliette. Oh, no. Actually, appropriately enough, this is my agent's sex room.
I was going to say.
Good to wrap it.
I
really like
looking at pictures of naked women.
There you go. Yeah. It's all part of the atmos.
It's an awesome room, though, by the way. But yeah, her wig made me feel physically ill. I couldn't cope with it. It was so gross.
Her wig was the least of my concerns.
She also had a merkin on, though.
Yes,
I mean,
100%. So she had two wigs on.
We have so much to talk about. All right, Rick, what did you think of the merkin?
The merkin was. I sort of had to blink to make sure I was, and I was like, no, that is what I'm looking at. Okay, fine. I mean, that whole scene was quite intense, wasn't it? I mean, the whole thing is unbelievably intense, but that in particular.
I was so glad I wasn't sitting next to either of you and I was sitting next to Dave, because I felt like it would have been such an awkward scene to like sit next.
Well, it's interesting because we all just met today for the first time, really, and then went 10 minutes later went into this full-on sex room assault. So, I mean, it's a really sort of a trial by fire way to introduce yourself to someone.
Yeah, and I think we've all come out of it stronger, haven't we?
I would say it's not a first date movie.
No.
It's sort of a
good call.
No date movie, actually, unless you're trying to break up with someone.
Also, don't go by it yourself.
Oh no, don't wear a Mac.
That's weird as well.
Rick hasn't even told us what he thought about it.
I'm going to say one thing that I enjoyed about the film was the production design, which is all very... Because so many of these sci-fi films look incredible and very clean, and sort of silver and neat and futuristic. And this looked grimy and grotty. Yeah. And was kind of shot beautifully, and looked. It felt more like, Alien or something like that was his kind of reference than something like, I don't know, The Martian.
Yeah, absolutely. There was no sort of shiny space.
No.
You know, sort of, you know, that kind of sense you get. It was like, oh, the future's going to be amazing. It was. The future's going to be grim, and and actually it's going to be sort of canvas and like low grade fabrics.
Yeah.
And you know, we're going to send these convicts up, and we're not really going to do anything to make it comfortable for them.
Yeah.
No,
and,
it looks like a janitor's closet.
And I imagine that the inside of most space stations is probably a bit more like that than the sort of Kubrick.
It must be grim. And we learned 2 lessons from Robert Pattinson, which is don't drink your own piss, don't eat your own shit.
Yeah, very early on.
Quite early on
that.
in
I felt like I knew that already.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, yeah, okay, fine. But
Has anybody got Bear Grylls' number?
Yeah, I agree with you. The sort of 70s analog sort of aesthetic, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Like, and clunky, like nothing works, you know, the clunky air conditioning machines that you have to bang to get working. And
I actually liked the film. I actually enjoyed watching it. I mean, it was not necessarily the kind of thing that you want to watch with people you don't know. But I was watching it thinking, this is so different to like your standard space movie. This is not Interstellar.
Yeah.
And it had that sort of grim realism to it. I quite liked.
I also love the fact that it didn't really bother with kind of space realism. You know, when you watch something like Gravity, and Gravity is just really a film that's saying, look at how amazing we are at making films now. We can do something that looks exactly like it would look if you were in space. And this just ignores that entirely. Like, you just sort of, like, you basically open a door and then that space there, and you sort of, and then someone just sort of falls out. But it doesn't matter. Like, it really works with the film, and I admire that.
We're really not into like criticising, like, oh, they got the science of this wrong, they got the science of that wrong. I mean, obviously, you need a massive budget to be able to simulate, no gravity.
Yeah.
And so in the first couple of scenes where like he drops the spanner and it falls, it's like it wouldn't fall, but you're like, okay, fine, and then you get over that, and then you just watch it for the unfolding of this very human story, which is, you know, is not a feel-good movie as such.
I feel terrible.
I agree. It felt like, it looked to me, and I don't know the detail, but it looked like it had all just been done with strings. Right? There's no. I swear there's not a single computer effects shot in this whole thing. Even people. This isn't a spoiler, but occasionally you see somebody. You will see somebody floating through space, and it looked like she just shot the person lying down on a bed of black with some stars around it, and then just slowly panned out.
That's exactly what it looked like.
There was a weird moment, wasn't there, where you saw that glove floating, and then you look around the room and everything else is on the floor. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. This is why we need a scientist on the podcast.
Yeah.
But it looked like that looked like something that was from Garth Marenghi's Dark Place or something. Like, you know, they weren't even trying to make it look slick. But I'm with you, Michael. I think, like, it's not about that, and it looks like it was shot on a shoestring.
It's not about that.
It's about the fuck room.
Yeah,
and we will talk about the fuck
basically 50 Shades of Grey.
All right, let's just go to Spoiler Street and get into
No,
the
this
fuck
is our
room.
first time in a spoiler agent's office.
Oh, Spoiler Agent's office.
Yeah.
Did they have a separate section for spoilers?
Yeah,
Is
we
it
have to
up
go
the
onto the
stairs
roof,
there?
actually.
Okay, right.
So I feel really bad because they're just
And
below
now
us and
we're
we're going to ruin this movie for them, and I'm sure they were all planning on going
Everyone's
after
hanging out. I mean,
we're safe. We're safe. Yeah.
There's a big Twitter campaign at the moment. Do not spoil the high life.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's just rife with spoilers.
Oh, I have to say one thing before we get to spoiler agent's office.
Okay.
Rick has serious snack game.
Yes,
What did you get?
I do, actually.
Do you know what? We have a regular guest in this podcast. You've been on his podcast, Scroobius Poo.
Yes.
He eats a sublime amount of food, and we have gone to the cinema with him. But what did you have?
I had, I'll talk you through it.
Should have taken a photo.
Nachos, 2 salami sticks, and then a bag of chocolate popcorn. Because, well, A, I was ravenous, B, we're at the cinema, so let's enjoy ourselves, and C, I hadn't had any breakfast. And I just thought I need to just load up here. And I felt like it might be a film where I didn't want to be hungry.
Oh, but you also don't want to have 2 salami sticks in this film.
That's also true, yeah. I got the salami sticks out of the way early, thank God.
I didn't have any milk.
There was a lot of milk in this.
There was a lot of milk.
Milky substances.
That's jizzy.
Well, there was milk as well.
That's the jizzy film.
Yeah.
I've never turned to Dave in a movie before and gone, is that jizz? It's a first for everything.
Kathy, you guys couldn't hear this, but Kathy just kept whispering the most brilliant questions to me. Like, why did she take his jizz?
Why? Just like questions I don't have the answer to, but you just felt compelled to ask them, which I really
I
appreciate.
just had to speak. It was so weird. Right, okay, now, spoiler agents off first. Turn off if you don't want spoilers for High Life.
Yeah. Okay, what do we think this movie is about / trying to say? Anybody?
I mean, my big problem with the film is I don't know why Juliette Binoche was so fixated on trying to have a baby, rear a baby on that spaceship.
Me neither.
That I wasn't clear on.
What was the end game? Like, so they said, our main mission is to go to a black hole.
Yeah, that's the Class 1 mission.
That's the Class 1 mission,
Class
is to
1.
harvest energy from a black hole, which is that's a perfectly legitimate mission.
That's a good reason to go to
stuff.
space.
Yeah.
And then Class 2 is...
Class 2, jizz.
Yeah.
Class 2 was
pregnant.
to see if you can rear babies in space, I guess.
But,
I mean,
like,
let's
why?
face it, nobody's ever done that.
Yeah.
So we
what
don't.
end, though?
Well, because you might find that. All right, let's imagine.
I think she was enjoying her work.
Yeah.
By the way.
Let's imagine though that the human race has to go and live in space.
Yeah.
We don't know whether we can procreate in space, and the only thing we've ever done is like take chickens up and eggs and chicken eggs and see what like happens to them.
And what happened?
Some of them were fine, some of them were deformed. The egg doesn't sit properly in zero gravity, so it sort of doesn't get all the nutrients into the yolk that it needs.
Sits right down on the shell, doesn't it? Which is no good.
It was actually the experiment was sponsored by Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
You guys already are great value. you've just made it all worth it.
So maybe
how does jizz work in space?
So jizz in space, I think, is absolutely fine. Yeah. So they were obviously like just trying to do fertilization experiments, except it seems like they were having to do it like drugging the women and inseminating them.
Yeah, like I was strange that there was like, so there's only two sex scenes in this between no, they're not sex scenes, there's two rape scenes. So there's a woman rapes a man and a man rapes a woman, and then the rest is having sex in a room by yourself on a machine.
Yeah.
What was going on? Like, why did no one just have consensual
French
sex?
Film.
Yeah.
Did the fuck room have the purpose of insemination? Because
no, I think that the fuck room was purely to satisfy sexual desires.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I
because
think so.
it was like
she wasn't harvesting.
No, because you guys might have missed this and all those shenanigans,
Yeah,
but she went in and like sat on the kind of art.
Getting proper mental health care can help you feel more like you. That's why Cerebral offers convenient access to online mental health services, including therapy and medication management. Cerebral's diverse clinician team can help with anxiety, insomnia, relationship issues, workplace stress, and more. You can schedule and communicate with your care team through Cerebral's mobile app and attend your sessions from the comfort of your own home. Get started with or without insurance. Plus, you can use your FSA or HSA. Start your first month for 50% off at Cerebral.com/ACAST.
Official penis, and she put a condom over it.
Yeah.
So, and then when she was done, outside, like all this white stuff washed away. So to me, what she was doing was harvesting the semen and putting it inside this machine so that when women used it, the semen shot into them.
But then why would she use a condom?
That's what I'm saying, because she wasn't trying to get pregnant. She was trying to get the young ones pregnant.
But then she wasted all that jizz. That precious space jizz.
There was space jizz everywhere. It was like flowing out of that machine.
That's what I wanted to
I
ask
thought
you.
it was just a clean up. Like it's like just wash the room.
That was what I said
There was
today.
is that jizz? There was a little paddle like thing where like you get a car wash. That came down, and then there was like all this white fluid, and I assumed that was cleaning for
I
her.
just didn't know, because she seemed to be harvesting a lot of it. And my other question to you, as a scientist, was like, how long? I didn't think it lasted that long, like outside the male body in just like a dish. But she seemed to not really be kind of.
I think it'd be okay. I mean, she's just putting them into little beakers, and then I guess she was freezing it. But then also she's using a very long teat pipette to then introduce it to some of the asleep females.
Tactfully put.
Yeah.
And what about that scene where she had sex with the like sex chair or whatever it was for like 5 minutes? And it was just her hair whipping back and forth and like her body writhing.
But that was when we saw the merkin.
Yeah, that was
the merkin.
Yeah,
I mean, that was just for the
scene.
purpose of. We're assuming it's a merkin. You don't know that.
No, that's true.
Yeah, Juliet just might be free and wild.
Yeah,
I remember. Do you remember Kristen Scott Thomas in The English Patient?
No.
And famously, supposedly, used a merkin in that. But nobody's ever actually sort of properly, she's refused to comment on whether it actually was.
No one's also nobody has ever.
I did once tweet her and ask her, but she wouldn't. No reply.
No reply.
No reply.
Yeah.
Just block.
Is that the first Merkin in space?
Yeah. And is that a better title for the film?
Yeah, what's the title about? High Life?
Well, it's to make it sound like it's much more fun than it actually is.
It was originally called High Jinks. They were like, that's too much, actually. We can't mislead them like that.
Yeah, so basically they were just all in space, like, quite depressed. The men were donating sperm, but, like, to get a tablet. But then Robert Pattinson didn't donate sperm, and he got the tablet anyway.
What was the tablet for?
It was drugs of some sort. It was like a little morphine hit or something.
High.
And then what was going on early? There was like a really tiny baby in an incubator that died, and I found all that very strange that they didn't explain to us, like, whose baby was it, what happened to it.
Well, I guess it was a sort of, they were saying that the radiation was killing the babies,
the
weren't they?
radiation was
why it wasn't killing
it would have killed the sperm
adults
and eggs,
and
presumably.
But he had strong.
Robert
Pattinson had strong genes, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
they
do imply that. Yeah.
So when he pulls out that plastic container full of water that's in the wall, that's shielding against radiation. So the idea is, if you go to Mars, you're in a capsule for 6 months, and you will get loads and loads of radiation hit because the Earth's magnetic field protects us from it normally, but out in space, it's out there. So you need the protections, and just like loads of water around the outside of the spacecraft will absorb a lot of the radiation. So that's what that was. But yeah, you'll still get massive doses, and presumably, so you'll be less fertile in space than you would be, than you would be on Earth. So I don't know if it was to do with like there being some kind of fertility problem on Earth, and that's why they were doing these experiments. I don't know, because it's never really explained. But he had that that kind of aura about him, like he wasn't giving his sperm away. He was just keeping all his fluids to himself, as he put it, and that made him sort of somehow seem like a bit of a superhero in the whole thing, didn't it?
Yeah, true.
I know you're a big Robert Pattinson fan, so for me, I thought he did quite well in that.
Yeah, Kathy, you weren't convinced by Robert Pattinson.
Well, it's not. No, it's not him. I guess he wasn't really given much to do, so he just spent a lot of the movie just pouting, basically, which is hard to
grunting.
watch. Yeah,
but I think he's got real screen presence. Like, there's a sort of gravitas, or there's a sort of gravity around Robert Pattinson. I don't know.
There's gravitas movie.
I don't know. I found it hard to watch him for a full 2 hours, but I'm not criticising him. I think it's hard. It was a long movie, and I really needed to go to the toilet for huge chunks of it.
But he's an actor who makes really interesting choices, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like, and this, like, he did Twilight. He made his money, and now he just pops up in these very interesting, weird art house movies. And he fought to work with Claire Denis, didn't he?
Yeah.
Rick, who told us 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think that she had wanted someone much older, so I think she'd originally wanted Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he and Robert Pattinson just kept hassling her and saying, "No, I really want to do it," and then eventually she gave in. Yeah.
Robert Pattinson's like, you don't understand how great my sperm is. I am made for this movie.
Just kept sending her vials of jizz.
That's his audition jizz.
Two things I found very strange. So about the
Only two.
Well, particularly strange choice of the directors, right? So there's like a young toddler in it. He's about a year old. He's really cute. But she's really cute. But very early on in the movie, there's like a close-up of the child's vagina, which I just thought was a very odd choice. Yeah, very odd choice, and actually I would argue like very unethical, because that child's clearly not given consent to that. Secondly, then later on when the daughter's grown up and she's in bed next to her dad, like, why does she get her period all over the sheets and then her dad's like touching the blood? It's like, to what end was that scene?
Is that sort of saying this is how old she is now?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I found it a bit.
I kind of thought the same with both of those. I think it's her way of communicating to the audience her gender and her age.
You can communicate gender without actually showing us someone's vagina.
Can you though?
That's usually how I explain it to people. Look at me.
I just thought there were some stylistic choices that I didn't agree with, like, for sure. Whereas where all the other stuff, like. And again, there was like a really awful rape scene, which I hate watching, but then at least we saw the guy getting his just desserts really weird.
It's
all I have to say.
It's weird and uncomfortable and claustrophobic, but I kind of thought it was really good as well. I'm kind of with you guys.
It was definitely compelling.
Very compelling, and like you said, Mike, very like interesting. I've never seen anything like that.
No.
I can't say like I enjoyed it. Like I don't. It's one of those movies you
not
just
that sort of film, though, is it? Like enjoyment is not the right word, but I was transfixed.
Yeah.
I think
it was fascinating.
There are films that you don't enjoy, but you're glad you watched.
Yes.
So I mean, off the top of my head, like something like The Road that is just uncomfortable, and it's like, oh, this is not enjoyable. And it's not like when you watch a horror film and you get the kind of adrenaline rush and all that. It's not that. It just makes you kind of experience something that you'd never thought about, and you hope you never experience in real life. And you come away thinking, oh, that's all right.
Well, it's just icky, isn't it? And I felt like dirty coming out of it, but I think big tick, because I presume that's she wanted the audience to feel uncomfortable, and for me, I think it's the kind of movie that will kind of sticks with you for a few days and you think about, which is the downside of this podcast, because we're just instant reactions, and I think our brains haven't really processed it.
Yeah.
But there's something about mirror to society and the worst. It's literally taking the worst elements of our society and putting them all in a box, a literal box, which is maybe something that we try to do as a society, and just turning our backs and putting it, in this instance, putting it in space, and then the result of that, what happens if you condense all the darkness of humanity into one place? And you produce life out of that? I mean, what are you left with? And then black holes.
I quite liked the idea as well when they came across the other ship. I think their ship was number 7, and then the dogs were 9 or 6, and it was just dogs on there, which made the point that effectively we're just treating these people like dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we've said one up with dogs, we've said some up with convicts. I mean, God knows who else they had up there in sort of 1 to 8.
Yeah, the dog. They had the master dog who typed messages home every night.
Yeah.
Did you think that it was weird the way the captain got that implant in their finger? Because and that's the only way to communicate, right? So that we kept seeing them cutting the implant out. But then, what if the captain fell overboard? You should not have the implant buried in his finger.
Yeah, it's not a good system.
No, not a good system at all.
No, I mean, if you're setting up that kind of thing, we recommend that you find an alternative.
So. Look after your convicts, people. And if you're on the dog ship, it's a lot more fun. I'd like to watch that movie.
Dogs in space. The title writes itself.
2001 Dalmatians.
That would be amazing.
2001 Dalmatians. That's the title. There we go.
All right, we should just turn it off now. I think we just.
What do you think of the ending, though? They're just gone into a black hole and that's it.
Yeah, what else are they going to do? I mean, you're facing a life in space, gradually being more and more irradiated. You might as well just, I mean, it was a suicide mission, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, what kind of a life did that girl have? She just hung out with her dad all day.
I was really worried that we were going to get a whole incest.
I was feeling a bit like
it's because they didn't age him up at all as she aged up, so he still looked really young.
He had a slightly bigger grey patch. That's all they did.
That was it. But I also think it's because we were talking about incest right before we went in.
Yeah, we went into this with incest on the mind.
Deep
which,
subconscious. Yeah. But no, I had just weird feelings about that as well, but clearly we all have depraved minds and it didn't go there.
We have depraved minds.
I think once you've sat through 90 minutes of this, you are going to go to some dark places.
Yeah, that is true.
It was amazing when the daughter said, "Oh no, I've got everything I need here." And I was thinking, "Now listen, you haven't. You have a terrible life."
You think she doesn't have any experience or any understanding of any other kind of life, so she would have that. If you're raised on a desolate spaceship that's doomed to fall into a black hole, you're going to probably feel like life's okay until you realise that. Oh, that is it. That is actually it. Is it? Yeah. That's the sum total of my existence.
Our only other frame of reference for existence was the national anthem at some Scottish football match.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but once a year they get a fresh strawberry bloom.
Oh,
and they get to share it.
I liked Andre Benjamin. It's odd to have it Andre 3000. Odd to have him in there.
Yeah.
Was that Andre 3000?
Yeah, Andre 3000. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I would not have recognised him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And, he was good.
He was the only likeable character.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then they never told us what happened to him.
Well, he
lay down and
lay
died
down
in
and
the
died
dirt.
in his
Oh,
own
right,
garden.
that's what happened.
And then flowers sort of grew out of him, I think. That was the idea.
Yeah.
It's quite sweet, really.
I thought it was
Yeah.
nicely shot the way she did that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we
that
saw,
was
we saw
nice.
his body, saw
Yeah.
the grave, and then the mound.
Bit of
And you would wanna
decomposing. Yeah.
Yeah, you would want to, and like, I just thought it's a bit gross that he wears boots with no socks.
That's where your mind was going in that.
I mean, there's not much else to think about in that scene, really.
Okay. I
Yeah.
liked the space gardening because that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So you know they're growing plants on the International Space Station, and the astronauts say it's really important for their like mental health. It like gives them this connection to Earth.
I would imagine that,
when they're
yeah.
growing like lettuce in space. So it's not just to eat; it sort of makes them feel like we're doing a very human activity.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
that's quite
Lettuce
cool.
in Space, another movie I want to watch.
Remember The Martian? Sorry, spoilers for The Martian when he grew like
Yeah.
potatoes on Mars, and we were like, "Yay!" when the
Oh,
first
you've
one
ruined
grew.
the whole film now.
Yeah.
There's no point in watching it. Potatoes and Mars.
It was nice to see some spaghettification.
Yeah.
Because that's the real thing. When the girl... what was her character name?
The mother.
The girl who was just described as the big booty girl.
Oh yeah, the mother of the baby.
Yeah. When she went off in her little ship into a different black hole.
I think
Yes.
they're orbiting the same one. Aren't
Oh, what's it? Have they just been at the same black hole?
It
the
did
whole
look
time?
different.
It did look different. It felt like they got to a different one, which didn't make any
I don't think
sense.
that's possible.
The other one was a bit more yellow.
Yeah. But anyway, when she got to the edge and it was all getting quite grim, then her limbs started to stretch out, and that's called spaghettification, and that is a thing that
I
would
missed that.
happen when you just before her, well, spoiler, just before her head explodes, you see her feet are just sort of moving away from her
Oh, I missed that.
body.
I was too bit like focused on the head exploding. Yeah.
And the other nice thing about it was that they
The nice
thing. And so they showed the second black hole image. It was like this sort of like Interstellar, but not like Interstellar in that, and all the lines of light don't join up. They're like little dots and dashes of light. You'll spot this, and actually that's taken from an image that was created by a French guy called Jean-Pierre Luminet in the late 1970s, right? And he tried to do an image of what a black hole would look like, and he programmed it into his punch card computer. And he didn't have a printer, so when he got the output, he had to read the output, and he actually drew it by hand what it would look like. And it looks incredibly like the one in Interstellar that Christopher Nolan came up with decades later, using all of Hollywood's supercomputers. Wow. So this guy Jean-Pierre Luminet actually did this sort of image of what a black hole would look like, and that's very clearly what they used in this image. Because it looks exactly the same as they've done. So it's kind of I think it's a little celebrate the French moment there actually. It's quite nice.
Yeah, good on you, Claire.
How does it look compared to the black hole they got like a month ago? Didn't they get one? Did it end up
everyone moaned that was quite fuzzy. It was like 500 billion miles away, wasn't it?
Oh, can't you get it in HD?
The reaction to that was so funny. People were going, oh.
Yeah, people are awful. It's like, I've seen better Instagrams.
And then the media was just like somehow linked it to Brexit at the same moment. I was like, this is one of the monumental discoveries in human history, but it's like the black hole is like Brexit. Like, oh.
Well, I feel like this movie actually might inspire some pro-Brexit sentiment.
Do you think so? What if we shot off all the people responsible for Brexit on into space on a cube,
and saw what happened,
and then watched what happened?
That was Cube 5.
Yeah, it's the Brexiteers.
It's
or
Nigel
maybe
Farage, Boris Johnson, and they're just up there.
Or more likely, it's probably in this future Brexit. Not only has Britain has succeeded from the EU, but succeeded from the Earth. So Britain is in a box number 11.
The design of the spaceship also is very funny. It's just shipping containers. It's just a whole array of shipping containers strapped together in a big block.
And then they can link up apparently when they casually bump into each other in space. It's like, oh hi, connect here, pop in, say hi to the dogs, head back again.
The daughter's line was my favourite actually. Is that a dog? Yeah, very good. You wouldn't know that, but yes it is.
I've been listening to the stories about the dog I killed my friend over.
I think maybe Homeward Bound gets beamed to them sometimes randomly.
I was thinking it's a bit unfair if they were planning on like having kids up there, right? That was the kind of the plan for the experiment. Like beam Peppa Pig up or something. Like that poor child was watching like a Western. And I say that as someone who watched our son this morning, who's a year and a half, was watching Peppa Pig, and Peppa fell over and he went, no! So he was upset by that. So I was like, this baby's watching awful images on the screen. And then Robert Pattinson, for no reason, is listening to her as he's outside mending the ship, Which, like, why are you listening to her?
It's like baby monitor.
Yeah, but why, if for the space of 10 minutes you're not planning on tending the baby because you're on the outside of the ship fixing it, would you bother with the baby monitor? Because, like...
Oh, I think we're getting an insight into your parenting.
It's terrible parenting.
Because he then dropped the spanner off, which you said didn't make sense because there's no gravity there. But, like, it was really dumb.
Is this why you went off to the shop for a few hours the other day and didn't put on the baby monitor? He's like, what's the point? He'll be fine.
Can't do anything.
I'm at the shops.
All right. Is that, anything else? I'm trying to rack
I just
my
can't
brain
wait for the sequel.
It's them through the black hole in this, like, kind of beautiful, magical, post-apocalyptic, like, amazing world.
Do you think they're going to meet, spoilers for Interstellar, Matthew McConaughey in a bookshelf? Is that where they end up? Do all black holes lead to that
Amazing
bookshelf?
if they all lead to the same bookshelf.
And Matthew McConaughey would be so pissed because his daughter's really old, whereas this guy's daughter's the same age as him.
Yeah.
Did anyone... They didn't seem to be... were they experiencing, like, time distortion because of the black hole?
You wouldn't know because it's relative to people who are far away from the black hole, so you wouldn't know... Like, everyone on the ship is experiencing the same amount of time dilation, so you wouldn't know what it was going
They
on.
did make one nice reference to that, didn't they? When they did the day log, where they had the day log on the ship that was like 7,600, and then Earth log was about sort of 70,000 days.
Oh,
because
right.
time's moving much more slowly for them than it is on Earth. So, from the Earth's point of view, they would have been away for... You know, like,
That's what the scientific consultant was for.
Yeah.
And they
Just do a
did
quick
say...
bit of maths on that. You go 99% of the speed of light. Do the maths, mate.
And somebody said, something about my son, and Robert Pattinson kindly said, he's old or dead. It's like, thanks, Rob.
Yeah, true.
I'm just trying to be nostalgic about my child here. But no, they wouldn't let him.
So they're going to be waiting a long time back on Earth for these results of the experiment, and then it'll turn out it's just Robert Pattinson saying, fuck you,
the program's
every day.
been cancelled a long time ago, hasn't it?
Yeah, total waste of time. But thank you so much, guys, for coming on.
No, thank you.
Do you know what? I'm looking.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's because Rick phoned ahead and told his agent we were coming, but they've got you guys a book at the top of the pile here.
That's right.
So we should tell our
That's
listeners.
a convenient plug.
Yeah,
Describe the book because it's a podcast.
It's actually a monkey in a spacesuit, which is awesome.
It is,
And it says science-ish. Now the ish is in brackets. The peculiar science behind the movies. A wild ride through the latest in scientific research inspired by Hollywood's best movies. So I can't wait to read it, actually. I'm admitting I haven't read it. Covering movies from 28 Days Later to Ex Machina. It's mine, I'll just take it from your agent. But you guys are writing another one, aren't you?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Desperately trying to finish it.
What's the new one called?
It's called Hollywood Wants to Kill You, and it's all about how you die in the movies. So,
cheering, really cheering.
I mean,
Time to get High Life in.
Yeah, High Life is a late edition.
I think that would really get you to the top of the...
we do want to sell some copies.
Is there a whole Sean Bean chapter? Because he's been providing a lot of Hollywood deaths over there.
No,
I don't think he gets a mention, actually.
No, he
Poor old
doesn't get a
Sean.
mention, I don't think. No, so we do things like Jaws, Predators, how predators kill you. There's Armageddon, how we're all going to die, from space asteroids.
And Ben Affleck's bad.
Contagion. It's an okay movie, that one. Like, people diss it, but they shouldn't.
Contagion, I really liked. Actually.
Contagion, viruses, flatliners, actually trying to mess with death and get near-death experiences. Cool. So all those kinds of I think we've got 11 movies that we just explore the science behind them.
Brilliant, love it. And when's that coming out? Can you say?
October, I think, early October. Yeah.
Right. And in the meantime, everyone can find you at Science-ish.
Yes, yeah. So Science-ish on iTunes and Audio Boom, isn't it? I think, and then on Twitter
Spotify.
at @science_ish. We Spotify as well.
Yeah, all the usual places.
Get us.
There you go.
Yeah,
didn't even know, did you?
No.
Everywhere you can find podcasts, and we highly recommend it. Please check it out. You've had a quick sample of the sort of in-depth science you get here. There's
we
less
never have
jizz
facts
talk
on this podcast. Never have facts on this one.
No, it's a real change of pace, and we don't normally talk about jizz so much either. So I was like,
enjoyed it.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, guys.
We'll chat soon. Thanks. Bye.